And I want to also acknowledge the staff who really has a lot to do with this being flowing and together for us, and the marketing department and all of that. So I welcome you to our annual meeting, and I'm a co-president. I said that. And the other thing I'm going to do right now is I'm going to wait.
Turn off your second.
The owls. Talking here.
I think it's this one.
Well, this gives everybody a chance to settle in and see. So I just can't seem to see.
Drink some more.
Okay. Okay, so for us to really settle in a deeper way, I'm going to do a land acknowledgement. And where I'm coming from with this is that I have been fortunate to spend time around all different kinds of indigenous people since I was a teenager and learned from them. And on this continent, other places. And so I was very fortunate to spend time with Grandma Aggie Pilgrim, who was a Tacoma elder. I also, many other people that I won't mention also, but I also talked to a friend recently who's a Latagua Native person, and she told me what her teacher, mentor, chief had talked about when we talk about land acknowledgements and what we do. And his thing was that so much of this has to do with that right now we are the stewards of the land, and we are, as owners of the co-op and us all here together, we are stewards of this place. So I'm going to do, in the different traditions I saw, a very simple version of a land blessing. And within that, first of all, I'm going to call in the east, the south, the west, the north. I'm going to call in the elements of the water, the earth, the fire, and the air. I want to thank the Earth Mother, the Sky Father, and the Star Nation, and the Great Mystery. And within those four directions, we are sitting here between Mount Ashland and the Grizzly and all the water that flows. And this creates our sacred circle. And before that, we had the different tribes that came and met here because of the special water and their trade routes. And so we call upon their ancestors who had their wisdom and their care of the land to help us and to guide us and to inspire us. I also want to thank within this, the two-leggeds, which is all of us, and we are all brothers and sisters, and the four-leggeds and the winged ones and the gills that swim and all the food and everything that helps us. And our ancestors, everybody's ancestors are here. And once upon a time, a lot of them were indigenous and connected to their land, and we don't always know those stories. So we ask our ancestors to be present with us here to help us, all of this to help us to be excellent stewards and to understand the privilege and the honor of being stewards. And because why we're here too, underneath us is this amazing springs that is flowing underneath, and then all the other water coming down from the mountains and this sacred circle. And so with that, I give thanks for all the elements and all the ancestors and everything I called upon for helping us and blessing us, and for us to understand what our responsibility is. And so blessed be in a home. So it is. Yeah. And then it's your turn.
Yes, so, thank you, Joanna. So, everyone, welcome. I am Kevin Bendoff. I am the co-president of the AFC Board of Directors. I am on the Executive Committee. I am also on the, I'm thinking of acronyms now, of strategic planning. And yeah, that, that's that one. I am, let's see, I also am drawing a blank. I just want to say thank you for all who are here and present. Also, who couldn't be here today, she had to attend a family emergency or a family moment, is Melissa Scudder, our vice president, who was the vice chair, she's one of the tri-chairs of our ED and I committee. She's also the chair for our AFC Gives Committee and on the executive committee as well. For that, I will pass it over to Bob, and you'll hear from all of us about who we are and what committees we're on. One last thing, I'm also, my current term ends in 2026.
Hi, everybody. I'm Bob Kaplan. I'm board secretary, and I've been on the board for 2 years, so going into my last year, the 3-year term, we're on 3-year terms. I'm on the, in addition to being the secretary, I'm in the executive committee, the strategic planning coordinating committee, and I'm a gadfly on the finance committee. I'm not on the committee, I go every month because I like that sort of thing.
Maybe the most questions.
Right, can't resist questions. I don't get to vote, but I can ask questions.
Yes.
Okay, Larry?
I'm Larry Cooper. I'm the treasurer of the board of directors. And I'm an outgoing board member. I'll be done the end of July, and I've done 3 years of service on the board and 2 years in addition to that on the finance committee. So, and as board treasurer, I'm the chair of the finance committee, and you'll hear from me later in the presentation. I've had a great experience being on the board, and we have a terrific board, and it's very exciting to be both going off and welcoming 2 new board members that you'll meet real soon. Thank you.
My name is Erica. I am entering my 3rd and final year of my first term here on the board. So I've been on board for 2 years, been an owner since 2017. And I serve on the AFC Gives Committee as well as the EDI Committee. Equity, diversity, and inclusion. Thank you so much.
Sorry.
Oh, yeah, I missed
Good stuff. I'm on my first year, my first term, and I serve on the board development.
My name is Mark Gibbs. I'm in my 4th year, so the 2nd term. My first 3 years, I was treasurer of the board, and I'm currently on the AFC.
I'm Abby Lazaro. I'm a board administrator and I've been here for over a decade. I'm a member of the executive committee, the board development committee, the AFC Gives committee, and the strategic planning steering committee.
So before we go to the next slide, because I don't want to share the information about who won in our elections, which I'm sure you all probably know who are in this room. We just want to share a couple of wonderful words about our outgoing and our esteemed colleagues for their time served on our board of directors. And so since she's not here, I'm going to talk about Melissa. Melissa served a 2-year term to support a position that was open and available, and to also get the balance of 3-2 back in order for our elections. And she did a wonderful job. You know, she's one of our staples in our community, was really, you know, has a really great perspective and outlook on how to govern, but also on all matters in support of the cause. Consistently looking out as an owner and really ideally hoping to take what your thoughts may be and emulating that in the boardroom. And so for that, I just want to say a public thank you and acknowledgement to Melissa Scudder for doing such a great job and being such a wonderful addition to our board during time served, even though I had the privilege of working with her for 1 year. It was during her vice presidency that I had a chance to see her shine, so thank you.
And I want to talk about Larry Cooper, and one of the things about Larry is he's been a member of this co-op back in the 70s, so he brings a lot of wisdom and tradition, and then he has this really great business, finance, logical thinking. He's a great listener, and when I sometimes don't know what to do about certain things, my first year on the board, I call Larry up and we have a really great talk, and then we talk about other stuff. So we're really gonna miss him, and he loves it. And I know you hate to go in one way, another way. You wanna go. You have grandkids and travel, and it is a lot of work. So really grateful for you, Larry. Thank you so much.
Well, thank you.
So for the big surprise of who has won our election, our newly elected board of directors, we have Catherine Kavanaugh and Jennifer Gibbs, who are seated over
Stand up for
here.
a second.
Please stand up. So thank you everyone for who voted. Just thank you for voting. As we know, voting can be sometimes a fundamental challenge, but you all rose to the occasion for who did. Thank you for choosing to use your vote as in your words. So, I just want to say welcome to both of you. Want to say something too?
No,
Okay.
so I didn't say what committees or anything. I don't know if it matters that I'm on. But anyway, I'm on a bunch of committees. And I've been coming as a co-op since 1980, and this is going into my third year.
Yes. So welcome to both of you. We have a wonderful journey ahead for you. There will be a lot of wonderful work that will be done, but you are guided by our wonderful owners, and you will have the opportunity to show them that you hear them. And so welcome to our board. So with that,
Oh, I'm sorry, I didn't say anything about, I was thinking the other way. So thank you. I'm so glad you're part of it.
yes.
Okay. I'm sorry.
So our next component is, we had 1,179 owners vote this year, and which is a big number. Years past, we've had anywhere between 700 to 900, which is a strong number, but we're really looking at having, it's 1,179.
What's the percentage?
It's about 7%, 7 to 8%.
What, we have like 12,000?
Yeah, but only active voters.
Yeah.
Only active voters can vote, so.
Yeah, so only our active members can vote, or active owners can vote. Thank you.
8,000 active owners, so that's pretty high.
Yeah.
Active means you shot, what, in the last 12 months?
This one time,
Yeah,
at least
minimum
one time.
one.
It's like 12,000 members, or almost
13,000.
Yes. So with that said, the other magnificent number is that all 1,179 owners who voted across the board. So for instance, last year, we had some owners who voted for only board of directors. We had some who voted only for the other components, like in this case, this year, looking at our bylaws and our other initiatives that we had voting for. So with that said, everybody voted for everything, which is another amazing thing. So 100% of the voters voted for 100% of the opportunities, whether they abstained or they put their mark on what they were looking for. They actually were activated this year, unlike other years. So for that, thank you for being here. Thank you for voting. Thank you for being a part of the success for the Ashland Food Co-op. And I'm sorry I didn't have this opportunity to have, the winner come in separately, but we had a AFC gift bag contest, and our owner who won is Maria. And I apologize if I don't pronounce your name correctly. That's not my intention. Is Sarah Cusano. And if are you here, Marie? No? Well, Marie, thank you for being a part of this success. Now, with that said, the main attraction, our headline is now coming up next. We had the privilege of bringing in a new GM to help support our co-op in ways that some of us didn't realize, some of us hoped for, and he has knocked it out of the park on every level. Full confidence from our board, and we are grateful to have him here. So next up is our GM, Nick Hardy.
Hey, everybody, I'm Nick. That's me. So a little bit about me. I've been in the natural food industry on the East Coast for almost 20 years. Before that, I was in the restaurant industry, and one of the things I did, my job was to open new demographics for Moms Organic Market and leadership development, and through Maryland, DC, Virginia, Pennsylvania, up to Massachusetts. And I started with them when there was 3 stores, and now they're opening, I believe their 25th store. I moved 6 times in 5 years. And I was done with the structure of that kind of toll on an individual to constantly be moving, constantly be, the goalpost moves when you move. And so I watched an industry that moved from, something that you all know very deeply from a co-op perspective, is that it's the grassroots of what the natural food industry started out to be. And so what I felt was that was being taken away. I was being, pulled in many different directions and started to focus on people as numbers and things that just were not healthy. So not only that, I was ready to get off the East Coast as well. So an individual that works in the co-op world was like, you got to go check out Ashland. And I was like, I don't even know what country that's in. But he's like, well, it's in Oregon. I was like, is that Canada? And after, right. So I had the pleasure of coming out here for a weekend, and I gotta be honest with you, I did not want to like it because the logistics were just a nightmare for me. I have 2 young kids. I own a house in Maryland, and it's just, it just would be very difficult. And so I was here for about a day and a half, and I was like, oh damn, I like it. I really, really like it. And talking to the co-op further and further and further about who I am as an individual and how the life that I live is in alignment with what the co-op does on a day-to-day basis and has done for the last 50 some odd years, I have to be a part of it. Not only do I have to be a part of the business aspect of it, but I have to be a part of the community as well. And so through that journey, a lot of conversations, a lot of, can I sell my house and how am I gonna make this work? I took the leap and I made it work. And so fast forward, I guess 8 months, which is where we are now, that's pretty much where I am today. And I see this community and everything it has to offer and how the co-op is such a pillar in the community and how I can support that in order for the co-op to be here for another 50 plus years and so on and so on. And with saying that, so some of the things that have been an opportunity, ROCO was an opportunity that came about that is one of those aspects that's in alignment with what we do on a day-to-day basis. We're a legacy company, we're a legacy co-op with individuals that support the co-op for so long. another legacy company that's been around for longer than Dustin has owned it, that's in alignment with what we do on a day-to-day basis. And it just became an opportunity for us as a co-op to be able to merge two companies together and offer a product that's up to our standards. And so not only is it a gathering place such as we are, but it allows many opportunities for exclusivity, and some roasting opportunities with accounts that they're already there. And we just acquired those so we can expand outside of our four walls. With saying that, the co-op, as you know, if you read any of the financials, the co-op does $32 million a year and has done $32 million a year for quite some time. That's great. That's what got us here. And we need to be able to maintain the type of sales that we have moving forward. And $32 million a year is not going to do it. So we have to figure out ways. How can we increase our sales? How can we leverage some of these companies that we do business with to lower our prices so that you all can afford the food that you're used to buying instead of seeing the prices go up to make up the difference for the sales that we can't really pull from? Because I mean, you get 21,000 people. Ashland has 21,000 people. It's had 21,000 people and it's projected to have 21,000 people until the end of time. And so how can we, it's quite the conundrum, but it's also a beautiful thing at the same time. How can we utilize the people that are already here? We don't want to force things on people. We don't want to drive margins up and prices up. What we want to do is look at our community and how are there opportunities that we can support the community even more outside of our four walls? And this is one of those examples. On top of that, another example is Rolling Hills. So everybody knows, you all know Rolling Hills. I'm the new guy. And so Rolling Hills, Dave was going to retire, and he is going to retire. And one of the things he was going to do is he was going to chop down all the peach trees. Exactly. So Joe and I, produce manager, have met with Dave many times, and we're like, Dave, you can't chop those down. But you can retire, you can go fish every single day. That's totally up to you. So what we've done is we've partnered with Rolling Hills, so that we can maintain the farm to keep going. We haven't bought Rolling Hills. We didn't buy the operation, none of that. What we're doing is we're funding the operation so that the peaches can keep going, and then we get 100% of the crop. And that's more than we've ever gotten because we never got the seconds. We never got the plums. We never got the apricots. Nectarines, exactly. Joe's he's the expert. So it's another opportunity. Like I said, the theme is the legacy brand. This is a legacy product. It's known in Ashland. It's known in the co-op, and it was an opportunity for us to be able to continue that, to offer it to you all even more and more. So with saying that, Joe has got tons and tons of beautiful pictures and information on Rolling Hills. So I think each and every one of you, I know I met with Chelsea and she's like, you're so hard to get in touch with. And I apologize for that. There's a ton of things that obviously I juggle on a day-to-day basis, but your time is most important. So if there's anything I can do for you, please, we can talk after this. And I'd love to hear your thoughts. But thank you, everybody. Super.
Hi, I'm Joe Reyes. I'm the produce manager of the co-op. Been here for almost 12 years. And, some people still know me as just Barry Haynes' replacement. That's okay. It's not the worst shadow to be in. But as Nick alluded to, Rolling Hills Peaches, we all know it. We all love it. And it was something that we felt like, especially after I got Nick out there to the orchard, and sure, it was a gloomy January day and the trees were all bare and whatnot. But, it's more the story that Davey told and the story that we, as the co-op staff, kind of told Nick about how important these peaches were to our community, and to the store. and to basically the Rogue Valley, I mean, beyond the Ashland community. And so that was kind of like the jumping off point. I was like, no, you can't cut down these trees. And I'll admit, Davey has been there way more than he probably expected to be, but he can't really give it up. So these pictures, I'm just kind of gonna go through these pictures real quick. This was my first week out there after we agreed on what we were going to do and that we were gonna bring these speeches to market. This was May 10th-ish. And they were just little guys. And I'll tell you what, I've been dealing with these speeches as the produce manager for 6 years, directly with Davey. And just this opportunity is gonna create so many opportunities within, not only to keep these going in our community, but to our employees. We hope that one day, in the future, our employees will have the opportunity, our board members, our community members, in our team, will have the opportunity to go out there and experience this for themselves. And it's a pretty amazing opportunity. This was a week later, or 2 weeks later, May 25th-ish. And it's just amazing to see day to day how much these things grow. And you hear the stories from Davey, who's been doing this for 40+ years, and there's nothing like being able to get out there and see it for yourself. And this was the next one, June 1st-ish, so now we're creeping up on that time. You can see how much bigger they're getting. These are my hands in the picture. Same hand. And then here they are now, and starting to look more like peaches. And it's, Dave says one of the best crops he's ever seen, and I was like, no, this is a good omen. We made a good decision here. We did the right thing. And like I said, the ultimate goal is to keep this product going. People start asking in April, when are Rolling Hills gonna be here again? When are Rolling Hills? It's like July every year, but just the excitement starts to build already. And you just know that this was a product that we needed to have. And Dave has a pretty big family. He went to his sons, he went to some local farmers, he went to some kids of local farmers, and just nobody wanted to do it. Nobody wanted to take on this orchard and put in that amount of money and work. And that's kind of what Dave's like, I'm tired of all my money going to this orchard and all my work. And so insert the co-op, and here we are. And Dave, he's been able to go camping 3 times this year already, which he hasn't done in the last 30 years, His partner is super happy about it. She's on cloud 9. She's used to doing these things by herself because Dave was in the orchard. But this also creates an opportunity for us to continue to provide for our community. We are going to be selling to the Medford Food Co-op. Some of the crop we are going to be selling to Fry Family Farms. We are going to possibly be working with Rogue Food Unites, for those of you that are familiar with that program. And just, there's gonna be more peaches than what we can take on, and more fruit than what we can take on. So we've been able to reach out and talk with, I said, Medford Food Co-op, Fry Family Farms, and Rogue Food Unites, and kind of establish a hey, when this time comes, do you want these items? And they were like, of course. They were super excited, super stoked. And then, of course, the growers market. If there was one thing Davey said, he was like, please, please, please figure out how to keep these going at the growers market. It's such a staple in the community. So we're actually employing, we're allowing for Rolling Hills to keep employing, through funding the crop. Davey's number 2, his name is T. He's kind of running the day to day while Davey goes camping and whatnot. And then Moss, for any of you guys that see Moss at the growers market, for the last 10 years, I think he's been working it for Davey. He's going, and he's I think he's the most excited person about this. He was the most upset when Davey said he was gonna be halting it, and now he's the most excited. Gave him a call last week, he was like, hey, I think we found a way for Rolling Hills to keep going to the growers market and selling the peaches, and he was on cloud 9. He's still on cloud 9. He texted me just yesterday. I was just like, I can't wait to get started. I can't wait to get started. We need this. I'm gonna need this. And he's just super stoked. So beyond just being able to bring the product to the community and, maintain avenues of getting this into people's hands through Fire Family Farms, Farm Store, and the Medford Food Co-op and Rogue Food Unites. You know, it allows people to stay connected. And, so you'll still find them at the Ashland Growers Market, the Thursday market over in Medford, and the also popular Saturday market, on Saturdays. So again, all amazing things, all amazing opportunities, that without the co-op, without the support of the co-op in the community and, everyone that supports us, wouldn't have been possible, but now it is, and it's amazing. I spend about 3 days out there a week. And it's an opportunity for me that is priceless, and, I'm super stoked, and, I can't wait for them to be on our shelves and get them into your guys' homes. And yeah.
It's so exciting, Joe. I'm so glad. Well, yeah, thank you so much. Sarah, please come up. Sarah's gonna help you by and yay, Joe and
Let's see.
yeah.
Okay, what up, what up? My name is Sarah Huck. That's me. I am a floor manager here at AFC, and I've served as tri-chair on the Equity, Diversity, and Inclusion Committee at AFC since 2022. In 2023, the AFC EDI committee continued to hold strong. There's been a rise in anti-EDI rhetoric across our country, and that's been a concern, but despite that, we refuse to mount under pressure, and we continue to put our energy towards creating a culture of belonging here at the co-op. We're on the other side of a global pandemic, and so as a result, a lot of us have been starved for human interaction. That's why we would like to take that into consideration, and the EDI committee has been focused on reintroducing community engagement at the co-op in a few different ways. Okay, to start. Free samples, they're back, baby. We've had so many incredible vendors make guest appearances at our in-store demo kiosk. Pictured here are a few of the items that we sampled. Fonio, a West African ancient grain, Cuban black beans, they speak for themselves, so delicious. And a single origin coffee from Peru. Okay, so product demos are a great way to put smiles on faces and try new things, and also promote products by historically minoritized groups. So I'm gonna pause there and break that term down, historically minoritized groups. So in the past, that term was minorities. That's not quite accurate. The groups in question, Black, Indigenous, and people of color, actually the global majority, and others encompassed in EDI work, women, the LGBTQ community, disabled community. They have been subjected to systemic oppression over the course of history. So that's what that term is. You'll hear me say it a few times in my segment here, historically minoritized groups. Okay, so moving on. Another amazing resource that we have for customer engagement is our online newsletter, The First Street Beat. It's a great place to highlight vendors from diverse backgrounds and serves as not only a space to update the community about what's going on at the co-op, but also a place to celebrate our friends and neighbors. We even feature many staff and board contributions there. I wrote this article for Kwanzaa in the gratitude edition if you want to check it out. So one thing to note, diversity is not exclusive to race, gender, or ability. The co-op serves people from various economic backgrounds as well. That's why we also like to use our online newsletter as a way to promote ways to save them coins. Featured here is some information about our community accessible nutrition program. You may have heard it referred to as the CAN program. It provides discounts for folks who use SNAP, WIC, SSI, and a few other government assistance programs. That is a 10% discount on everything in the store, every time you shop. for a year at a time if you qualify. So that is significant savings. It can be make or break for a lot of families in the Rogue Valley. So we love it. The First Street Beat is released quarterly and can be found on our website under the community tab. So you guys are currently in a space for community engagement as we speak, the co-op classroom. For many people, their first introduction to other cultures is through food. So what better way to build community than gathering over a delicious meal? So here are a few of the classes that we've offered in the past. We offered classes from countries all over the world and foods from all over. And that calendar keeps filling up, so check it out. Maybe learn something new or have an exciting culinary experience. We've also begun hosting non-food related events in the community classroom. We had one popular one held by City Councilor Janet Duquesne. It was a talk called Living in My Black Skin. She talked about what it's like to be a Black woman living in the Rogue Valley, and she opened up the floor to a lot of really honest conversation. And there was quite the turnout. And I didn't know this at the time, but we made local news, y'all. Wow. We even hold movie screenings here in the co-op classroom. This year we showed the historic March on Washington speech for Martin Luther King Jr. Day. So inspiring, what a moment. All right, so a key part of EDI work is the education piece. As it stands, there's at least one holiday for every month of the year that honors a historically minoritized group. We like to utilize not only the online newsletter, but also in-store displays to highlight the contributions of these groups. The EDI team keeps track of these holidays and takes time to figure out the most respectful ways to pay homage to them and educate our community about their rich histories. One example of this was our Dia de los Muertos, or Day of the Dead, ofrenda display. It was important that we handled this tradition with a lot of tact in a way that brought people together and also gave back to the community that created it. We made this bilingual display to educate customers about the history of the holiday and also the significance of its components. We decorated frames and displayed photos of both customers and staff's loved ones who passed on. We used this display to draw attention to UNETE's amazing work in the Rogue Valley that they've done for years and years now. It served as a collection point for non-perishable items, and altogether we raised 5 bags of groceries for their food pantry. Pretty rad. Woohoo, yeah. So each year that goes by, the committee is evolving and becoming more organized. This year we held a meeting to really pin down what we wanted our goals to be for 2024. A lot of really great ideas came out of that meeting and some are already in the works. And here are a few of the highlights. All right, we've been talking about this one for a while now, adding a co-op member to the committee. We actually crossed this one off the list just earlier today, officially welcoming Manya Orescan Campos to the committee. Next, we'd like to add an inclusive trade program here at the co-op. Programs like these have been gaining traction at co-ops all over the country. Each one varies a little from the next, but what we'd like to do is not only feature and promote products made by historically minoritized groups, but also make it easy for them to be identified by customers in store when they're shopping, so they know who their dollars are supporting. Next, we discussed expanding the CAN program. One major demographic that shops the co-op is SOU students, and we would like to add Pell Grant recipients to that program. We know how tight those college budgets can be. It's a little rough, but this next one was inspired by the Bellingham Co-op, adding an online bias reporting form. So like any grocery establishment, sometimes things get lost in translation. Sometimes people's intent and impact don't always align. This is why we want to create a space for customers to go where they feel like they've been discriminated against in our store. That is a serious, serious claim. And sometimes they never get brought to us directly. So we would like the ability to investigate these things so they can be addressed or potentially clear up misunderstandings between staff and customers. Okay, this was a fun one. One thing about EDI work that people don't often talk about is that joyful, fuzzy feeling you get when you have accomplished a sense of belonging. That's why we want to add more EDI events, more classes, more movie screenings, more talks, and definitely more food. And this one, see the best for last here, community outreach. There's so many amazing organizations in the Rogue Valley. We want to continue to build relationships with them and do whatever we can to support them in any way we can. So that is it for the EDI 2023 update. Also, big shout out to the marketing team. Without them, they play a huge part in getting our messaging out and turning a lot of our ideas into a reality. So thank you, marketing team, and on to you, Chris. Yeah.
Hi, everybody. That's not me. My name is Chris Byrne. I'm the sustainability manager here at the co-op, and there are a bunch of great programs that we're doing that I'm looking forward to share a few with you. But we can't possibly get to it all, so I'm hoping that you have either seen or will check out the sustainability report that's on the website, and there's a couple of physical copies around here. So our vision is there's a 4-point vision for 2030. I'd like to point out that this was written in 2007. That's pretty forward thinking for this organization or for any organization. And it was engagement from owners like you, maybe some of you in this room. Thank you to them. And one of these that I want to start by talking about is carbon neutrality. And in 2007, this is what we called it. We might call it net zero today. We'll use it interchangeably. And so what are we doing on that front? We have 3 solar arrays around town. The 39 kilowatt on the roof of the store. We have another 12 on the historic barn. And then in 2021, this one came online. It's 197 kilowatts. It's a beast, and it's across town. It's not on our roof. And we get credit for those electrons because we live in the city of Ashland, and Ashland owns its utilities. So there is a virtual net metering program, which doesn't happen often with for-profit companies. Last year, we made 50% of our own electricity through those 3 arrays. It was the first year that we profited 50%.
Where is that last one you mentioned?
It's off of Mistletoe Road on the other side.
Oak Street, Tank and Steel.
All right, and we work with Energy Trust of Oregon to lower our methane use, make it more efficient, and even eliminate some of it. We are moving the deli kitchen over to induction cooking and electric cooking. We work with EPA's Green Chill, which is a refrigerant management program, to make sure we have the best refrigerants in and also discover and fix leaks should they happen. Last year, we were the best emissions rate for any small independent grocer across the nation. So, very big name, but we're a new company. So. And then for the rest of our emissions, we partner with Bonneville Environmental Foundation to buy renewable energy credits as well as offsets. So now this is the wonkiest slide that I have, but we're going to get through it together. Okay? All right. So scope 1 are the emissions that we ourselves contribute from the operations of the store, right? So think about the cooking and the heating and the hot water, all the natural gas that we burn in the store. Also in scope 1 is any of the refrigerants that might happen to leak. We're doing really well on that, as we saw in the past slide. And that's about it. If we had a fleet, which we don't yet, aside from a 3/4 ton pickup truck that does maintenance, that would also go in there. So scope 2 are the things that come from offsite, the energy. So it's the electricity that we purchase. And that's pretty clean in the Pacific Northwest, but we buy our renewable energy credits at the national number. So we're actually going further than we need to. But here's the rub. This is a typical grocery store. And this is a chart of the emissions proportionally speaking, right? So this blue is scope 1, and this light blue is scope 2. The rest of it are scope 3. Before I met Nick, and he asked me how we're gonna get to full, I didn't know of a grocery store that was looking at scope 3. And this is the big project I wanted to tell you about, is that we're starting to look at scope 3 emissions. Scope 3 emissions are all of the products and the materials that we use to support ourselves in delivering those products that are upstream of us. They call them upstream emissions, right? So growing food, processing the food, packaging the food, transporting it to us, and then it's sold, and then there's an end of life for that, right? The packaging gets disposed of. What do we do? So Nick challenged me to find us a dashboard, because up until then, we were doing scope 1 and scope 2 off of our utility bills, and then buying the renewable energy credits and the carbon offsets off of the the utility bills. So scope 3 is a much bigger project. We just came back from Herb Farm yesterday, and I was baffled just looking at their operation alone, doing a scope 3 inventory on them. So we eventually, after a pretty long vetting period, we settled on a company called Planet Forward. They're a software company, but they also have data scientists and climate scientists on staff that are helping us to do this cataloging. This is the process. I won't get into the details, but we essentially have gathered all of the invoices that represent everything that passed through the store in 2023. And now Planet Forward is right now in the process of doing their extrapolation, where they will tell us what our entire corporate footprint is. This is the first output from Planet Forward. Those of you who've seen the rest of this before, this is brand new. This is our scope 1 and 2 accounting. We're going to focus on this part. Our scope 1 and 2 is actually flipped on the chart that I showed you before, proportionally, because of all the solar that we have, right? And then, so the red up here is the solar arrays on site, and the green is our other solar. This is the energy that we bought, but this is effectively what our scope 2 emissions are. So we buy renewable energy credits based on that number. Eventually, being the end of the month, it's coming up quick. Planet Forward plans to have the entire scope 3 included in this, and then we'll know where the leverage points are. What are the big emitters that we're selling in the store? How can we help those companies to do better? Even introduce them to Planet Forward. Maybe make some suggestions. We can even find out if we can dial in what they're doing to know that they're actually doing better. A good example might be Emerald Hills, who's right here. It's grass-fed and grass-finished, whereas opposed to big meat, conventional meat is going to be a way higher emitter than that. So really looking forward to getting this back and starting on that journey of mitigating our emissions and lowering them. So
what's the incentive of these suppliers to do any of this?
sales. There are case studies that say if you tag a company on the shelf as a climate performer, you can raise their sales by as much as 240%. And there's another growing movement of people that call themselves climatarians. So, and I'm sure there are some of them among us. Bill? So just want to touch real quick on zero waste. This is another thing that was set in 2007. It's a high ideal to strive for. We do live in a throwaway society. That is not our creation. That's, as we're seeing with a lot of reports of the plastics committees, the plastics companies, that they've been hiding this, recycling for a while, and they're designing it to be a throwaway culture. So what can we do as a co-op? Here's one of the ways that we're trying to go zero waste. This is called the food recovery hierarchy. And it starts with source reduction and reuse. Good business, right? You want to be more efficient, not waste as much. And then what do we do with the rest of it? Well, we feed hungry people first. We offer it to staff with leaders. What the staff doesn't pick up, Ashland Food Angels picks up. Shout out to Ashland Food Angels, who takes that and distributes it to organizations that are feeding people. Then what can't be fed to people, we feed to animals. 100,000 gallons a year go to, anybody know these guys are outside? Of Ashland in the hills? Yeah. Cuties. We don't do any industrial uses, but we do compost all of the eggshells, the coffee grounds, and the spent mate that comes from the juice bar. What goes in that dumpster is basically just grease and bones. That's it. That's also good business because we're not paying to have that tipping done. To have that picked up. Rope to Go is a great program. If you don't know about it, ask me. You can get in the service for $10. You basically bring your box that you've used in and you exchange it for a box that we have washed. Between that and the durable plates and bowls, since 2020, we've eliminated or not had 550,000 boxes in landfill, right? It's about 6% of our meals, so there's plenty of ceiling to go, right? That's also 50,000 boxes that the deli didn't buy. So we also introduced, right, a notice, the reusable fork program. Reuse is a climate solution. You get 2 uses out of it. It's environmentally more friendly than a single-use plastic fork. And it also, guess what? It saves money because if we get that fork back 2 times, we've already broken even on that fork. So we're eliminating single-use plastics and we're increasing the bottom line. The Bring It Back program, you will not find a plastic fork in the deli anymore. Join us at North Mountain Park for our second cleanup day. It's another way we're getting out into the community. We had a great time the last time. That's August 2nd at 9 a.m. All right, thanks, folks.
As you already know, I'm Larry Cooper. I'm the board treasurer. And I'm going to try and run through this financial report. I just want to tell people from the outset that if you have questions about finances, you can contact me, you can contact Nick. We have a finance director who can research almost any financial subject through one of us, and you can get a good answer to it. And I'll be here after the presentations if people have some questions directly. So this is gonna be a pretty dry presentation, I'm sorry to say. After Chris's presentation, I can't come close. So this letter that you can't read is, because it's so small, is the the annual letter from our independent accountants review or audit, as the case may be. As a co-op corporation, we are audited once every 3 years by policy of the co-op board. And on the off years, which this last year, 2023 was, we had a review. And that means that the auditors basically go through our books and they ask a lot of questions. When they're doing an actual audit, they look at invoices, bank statements to make sure that basically no one's stealing. That's, I think that's the end of the day, that's the main purpose of these audits. And I see what happened. Okay. Come on. There we go. So this is on the second page of the auditor's letter. I'll read this to you. Based on our review, we are not aware of any material modifications that should be made to the accompanying financial statements in order for them to be in accordance with accounting principles generally accepted in the United States of America. And what that means is it's like every other accounting report, but it's a clean, we basically, our last audit and our reviews are, I guess, what you could call clean. There's no issues noted by the auditor. This slide are the highlights from our finances for 2023. $33 million in sales, approximately $9 million of that went to paid personnel for their fine work and for benefits. And about $865,000 went back to you all and all the rest of our owners as patronage dividends. And I would like to add that one of the important jobs of the board is to decide each year what portion of our patronage dividend, what portion of our profits attributable to sales to owners will go back to the owners as patronage dividends. And as you can see here, we selected 80% this year. Some of you might have remembered that during the pandemic, a number of years, we returned 100%, but we felt like we needed to retain some of that. That 20% gets retained to support investments for future growth, including things like the acquisition of the ROCO. And of course, other shoppers we make profit from, and that money is reinvested in the business that benefits all of us. So here are the precise numbers. If you want to, I'm not going to go through them, but these are the numbers with percentages for 2023 and 2022. And you can see our net income it shows a decline in this negative 166,871. Our finance director asked me to point out that this is an anomaly that occurs as a result of adjustments due to depreciation for some of our assets. So we didn't actually lose that money out of the bank. We lost that money out of our balance sheet. And if someone has more questions about that, you can ask later. And this is a copy. This is a copy of our balance sheet as of the end of 2023 and the end of 2022. And I'm going to go back. What's important to note here is that you see at the end of 2023, $8,182,000 in short-term investments. And I know that a lot of people in the community ask about and talk about that very big pile of cash that the co-op has, but it's a benefit to the co-op because at this point we earn interest on that money, and that money can be used for reinvesting in a better store in the near future, hopefully, meaning possible renovation. Nick touched on that. And also it means that we have the ability to do things like self-insure ourselves for health insurance. We're one of the few co-ops, I believe, that does have a full self-insurance program, which has two advantages. It provides more coverage at a lower cost for each of our employees, and the overall cost to the corporation is less by being self-insured. But in order to be self-insured, we need to have a lot of money in the bank for those years when we have really, really high health claims. And we've had a very successful program for, I think, a couple of decades. I'm actually not sure how long it's gone on. And this is our sales trends from 2018 to 2024. And you can see right here, we can all guess what that time was, the middle of the pandemic. But what's really wonderful is we've recovered. We had a little dip down here, but basically, if you look at this far column, each of these positive numbers above the red line means we increased our sales from the previous year by that percentage. So that's a very positive, shows the support of the community and the good management of the co-op. And here's another one that shows us some interesting pandemic numbers. Our average customer count, 2020, the red line was our low point, and that's our customers per day. So during the pandemic, fewer people were shopping, but they were buying much, much more. So our sales didn't go down nearly as much as our customer count. And even today, this black line that's the black line is the pre-pandemic year. But our current last year, 2023, we're not quite up to where we were. We're at about a little over 2,400 customers per day. And we were at 2,800 and plus a little in 2019. And that is very interesting because what it means is because our sales have gone up, but we have fewer customers per day, our customers have gotten in the habit of making fewer shopping trips. And one advantage that might have, Chris, that maybe can be reflected in things is our emissions from shoppers driving here. And that's something that has gone down a little bit for the long term, which I see as a positive. And that is it, except to say it's our shopper owners and our staff that has made this great financial success possible. We're thankful, yeah.
As far as Ashland local enterprises are concerned, where does the co-op stand as far as revenue? Several years ago, I understood that the co-op did more revenue than even Oregon Shakespeare Festival.
Nick, do you have an answer? Well, let's just compare to other grocery stores. Do you know where our sales are at compared to other grocery stores?
don't
in Ashland? Yeah, we're up there for sure.
Yeah.
That's not something
I'm
that,
talking about local.
yeah, local grocery stores, like we have Safeway, Albertsons, shopping cart.
I do know we paid the highest meals tax.
Oh, there we are, yes, that, and I know that as well. We pay the largest amount of meal tax of any enterprise in Ashland. So that's a way that we actually provide very significant support to the city to help fund, essential services through the general fund.
I know shopping cart does about 50 million a year in sales, and then Natural Grocers does about 15,000 a day in sales.
Yeah.
That's
interesting.
But shops are about 50.
Yes.
We'll have time for question and
I'm
answers
sorry.
after the meeting.
Okay.
Yeah, at the end of the
Okay.
meeting.
So please talk to me after we're finished with the presentation. Thank you very much. Eric is on the Change for Good, a much better subject.
I'm going to talk about AFC Gives. This is the charitable arm of the co-op. We have two programs. That's the Change for Good. You're familiar with the Roundup program at the Register. And then we also have our Community Grants program. And through both of these, we're able to give back to the community. As it's been mentioned, we are in a place where we're able to do that. So Change for Good, first of all, I think a lot of people are not familiar with how this process works. So just really briefly, I'll let you know that we open up applications, we promote it to nonprofits in the community. An organization has to be a 501c3 nonprofit to apply. And then we have a committee that meets monthly, and we get together and we review all of those applications for their eligibility. We make decisions based on organizations that have been funded by the food co-op in the past or not, making sure that we are making things as equitable as we can for different organizations in the community. And then they go out to vote. So if you voted in this last election, you got to choose from a list of organizations that you'd like to see represented in this program. This program has grown immensely since it began. It actually began back in 2020 following the fires. It was a plan we already kind of had in place that we wanted to pursue, and the fires happened and we just kicked it into gear. Our incredible team was able to make this program happen. And so in 2021, we raised $23,000, and in 2023, that amount has skyrocketed to over $87,000. Wow. So yeah, that's exciting. The program just keeps growing, and that's in a number of different things. It's the customers making the choice to round up when they're at the register. It's the employees at the register encouraging people to round up, and also great promotion on behalf of the food co-op team, educating people about this program. I also want to share with you. Oh, wait a second.
Last year.
Oh, that's supposed to say 2020. Oh, no. I'm sorry. It's 2024 right now. I'm not going to read through all of these, but I just want to quick show you the list and let you know that the categories that we look for when we're considering organizations for this program, they need to fall into one of a few categories. So one that we address is basic needs, and you'll see each of these represented across this board here in some capacity. Basic needs like shelter, clothing, things that people in our community need to survive. Of course, healthy food is a big priority. We want to support organizations that are creating food access. Environmental stewardship and education is a big one that we like to see, organizations that are working to steward the land and take good care of our planet. And then arts and culture is another category that we will support. Want to make sure we're lifting those organizations up in our community. And then with every application that we consider, we're always looking to make sure that the work that they do pursues equity and inclusion. So these are, I'm sorry, what?
Current?
This is this year, yes. I'm sorry.
June right now?
That's
Spring?
correct. We're currently rounding up for Stream Smart.
So does staff need to remind the customers if they want to round up? We
Okay.
don't always think of it.
Thank you for
And
that.
I haven't even heard Stream Smart mentioned in June, and I shop 2-3 times a week. So they're not mentioning it, and I'm forgetting.
Okay, thank you so much for that feedback.
Thing I saw today, it says revenue punching your card in, it's a nice little
Did
street.
you always see it, or just
I
today?
just saw it today,
See? Just started, right?
I don't know.
We just started these new cards because some people don't like to be asked every time they come through. So we brought in a new, that's what you saw at the register, some communication as printed, and thank you, because we want to make sure people will be that. But there are some owner shoppers who are like, please don't ask me all the time, so there's an interesting balance there. And I just wanted you to round this, that it's round it every time, like, yeah, I do.
Oh,
wow.
I didn't know that.
Nice.
That's
You can
very
just tell them you want to round it every time, they'll just put it on their account and they don't have to, they just round it.
Just having that announcement.
That is awesome. So we'll put that in the communication. I love being asked. I love being asked.
Oh, good.
I appreciate it. Awesome.
That's wonderful to hear. Yeah,
Okay.
and we really appreciate our employees asking and getting on board with this program. They already have so much to do at the register, so it takes quite a team.
Yeah.
One of the beneficiaries of this program this year was the culinary students at Ashland High School. Here's a picture of them thanking the food co-op for their support. And this, of course, is one of the most fun parts of this committee is delivering the checks to the receiving organizations. Melissa here in the blue coat is actually the chair of the AFC Gives Committee, and she wasn't able to join us this evening, or she'd be sharing this information with you, but she has led us through both of these major processes this year to allow us to do this wonderful work. There she is again, farm to school. So it's been a wonderful program. In addition to that, we have our community grants program. So we set aside a percentage of sales from the previous year.
That's fine.
I thought
Mark is on.
that's not.
Yeah, we're fine.
We talked it through. Okay. These funds support local projects that align with our vision of enhancing health, enriching the community while promoting our mission to provide education about food, environment, nutrition, and health. I want to let you all know, if you know of a nonprofit that's interested in applying, the application is actually coming up. It opens on July 10th. It'll be open until August 15th, and we'll be having a session here in this room on July 16th in the evening, where you can come and learn more and ask questions about that process. So we give grants up to $2,000 each to organizations all across the Rogue Valley that do all different types of work that I just described a moment ago through our community grants program. And this is also a program we encourage Change for Good recipients who did not receive a Change for Good month. We point them to our community grants program. So here's the list of organizations that received community grants in this past year. Give a moment to read through those. Again, so many different organizations doing wonderful work. And this program is great because if you don't know the nonprofit and granting world, a lot of times it is a challenge to find grant funding for really small projects. And so the beauty of us being the co-op and having this small, really focused team and these small focus grants, we get to support organizations that don't necessarily qualify for larger foundation grants throughout the community and the state. Okay.
All right.
25.
This is fine. So, the Change for Good, recipients and winners this year are listed on the screen, and I'll go through them, but just wanted to note there were 47 very worthy organizations that submitted to be Change for Good candidates. Unfortunately, we had to boil that down. I think there were 15 that were put forth to owners and members to vote on, and this is the outcome of So, Food and Friends, the Southern Oregon Center for Community Partnerships, acronym the center, Ashland Schools Foundation, Bee Girl, Parker House Project, Siskiyou Field Institute, Community Works, Science Works Hands-On Museum, White Oak Farm and Education Center, BASE, which is Black Alliance and Social Empowerment, and the 10th recipient is Jackson County Fuel Committee.
Good.
So those are all the winners. Yeah, and I'm not sure, are the months already decided? Yeah.
Not yet.
So that
We actually work with the organizations, I believe in the order of number of votes received, and then work with them to identify a month that fits best with their schedule to have a roundup month. Also, because another great part of this program is those organizations have an opportunity to table out front of the store during their roundup month. So it's also an awareness raising and advocacy opportunity as well.
And then those who didn't win often submit to the grants program, so they have another opportunity to raise some funding.
Is this an order?
No, I think this is just a randomized order. It's just.
No particular order.
No.
Okay, that sounds fine.
Thank you. Nick, I think are you up next? Or-
Yeah.
Okay.
All right, so as you can see, 13,000 plus owners, super grateful for each and every one of you. And now we have time for Q&A.
One of the big concerns I have is the use of seed oils and even the use of olive oil that's being heated beyond the temperature where it's safe and it starts to degrade. And I've read that olive oil, 80% of the olive oil in the market is actually watered down with seed oils because it's so highly profitable that the mob has gotten involved. And much of the olive oil is not olive oil, and olive oil should be heated minimally, if at all. I've had numerous conversations with the deli manager, Jay, and copied the store manager, Barry, and even copied you on at least one of those. And I've gotten no response of any kind, no action, I should say. I've gotten a few emails, but no action on improving, for instance, the soups. Having some of the vegan soups have no, 3 of them have no oil in them. But to take the oil out of the vegan soups and to take the sugar out would be a real step in the right direction. At this point, 60% of adults in the United States, 60% have a chronic disease. And likely caused by the standard American diet, which is what I see being served in the deli, the standard American diet. So if we could clean up the food in the deli, we could improve our health. And I think it's extremely important. The owners are very important to me.
Of course.
And their health should be the greatest focus of the co-op should be improving the food here, not buying a coffee shop, sorry to say. But I don't see how that relates to the mission. So I am hoping that I have given the deli a number of recipes from the Forks Over Knives organization that are oil-free and sugar-free. And I'm asking that they make them. And in addition, the red pepper beef soup that's served in the deli is made with conventional peppers. And I was about to serve some up one day and a friend of mine said, "You're not gonna eat that, are you?" And I said, "Why?" And she said, "It's not organic." And I went, "Oh, because red peppers are on the Dirty Dozen list from the Environmental Working Group. It's one of the 12 fruits and vegetables that you want to make sure you eat organic. So I don't think it should be served in our deli." So we really need to hype that up. We need improvement in the deli, way more than we need most other things. It's kind of like going out and buying a motorcycle when you have a leaky roof when you're buying a coffee shop. I don't agree with that. And then the other thing is, a number of the items in the produce department, and the most conspicuous one is the broccoli sprouts are much higher here than they are at shopping cart. It's broccoli sprouts, bananas, yellow onions, yams, ginger, garlic, and like the others that I didn't look at. In the case of the broccoli sprouts, if you take them and you look at the per pound price, these broccoli sprouts here are almost $56 a pound, and at shopping cart, they're like 32, actually, the exact numbers are $1.99 an ounce at shopping cart, $3.62 an ounce here, and they're both from suppliers that the food co-op purchases from. And that's it.
Thank you very much.
How much was Roco?
300,000.
That's it?
Yep. Did an asset sale.
Well, I heard from someone who was looking at buying it, that they would have paid $1 million.
Yeah, we didn't think that was worth it.
Okay.
So we did an asset sale. We bought $300,000. We didn't buy the land. We just bought the business.
Because I also heard rumors out there that it was 600.
That's for the land.
So, okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
What are we paying, to have this partnership with, Rolling Hills?
So basically, the way that we factored it is what we paid for what the crop was last year, and what we paid was about $40,000. So it's the same cost to us to operate the farm as it would be to get the crop. The difference is we get the crop for free. It's the same cost.
Oh, Larry, you're gonna have to lay that one out for me.
I think Nick just laid it out. Yeah, no, what's happening, I mean, what it is we're prepaying for the peach crop. And that money is being used by the peach orchard to fund peach futures. Futures for workers and inputs.
We
for
paid
a lot of-
$40,000 for all of
We'll
that.
pay their expenses, basically. Definitely expenses, and we get their yield.
Right.
And what are our expenses?
Well, $40,000.
Yeah.
They're expensive, so we're paying, right? We're basically paying the expenses to produce a crop.
So what this means, does that make sense to you now?
Well, I think so. Sometimes it takes me a while for things to absorb what all that means.
Because I can tell the story in one other
Okay.
way.
What I have not heard one word about the land that we own. I'm kind of dropped, why did we buy Roco for now, but I'd still like to know the answer to that, and I don't think tonight I'm gonna get a feeling that it's out there. Why did we buy Roco? We're not, at least I haven't heard that we were in the investment business. But maybe we are now, because the world has changed. As far as the EDI, I keep reading about, is she still here?
Yeah, because behind you.
Oh, thank you for saying. I'm reading about, they're complaining about racial tension at the co-op. What do you mean? I don't know, racial tension, where you next door.
I'm not familiar.
Right next door.
That's the directly, so.
Okay, I just wanted to bring it up, because I keep reading about it.
Well, I can do
Okay,
I'll look through next door and see what there is.
what's next door?
It's an
an
email,
online
website. for-
Website.
Terrible page.
And what was our patronage dividend percent, 2.6? I know.
Well, we returned 80% of the, it was of the,
We got
the profit.
I didn't get 80% of what I spent last
She's asking
year.
what percentage of what percentage of your purchases?
Of your patronage dividend.
It's like 2.6%.
Yeah, but it's just wide, oh, they're up 3%, between 2.5%.
It's not 80%, or I would have gotten about.
No, it was
$2,000.
Okay, I think if you want, we can talk afterwards and I can explain what the 80% is.
Okay.
The 80% is also real
Okay.
number.
Thank you very much for answering my questions,
Thank
and,
you.
we'll talk more about why on Roco later.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I'd like to say that myself and quite a few friends have gotten really interested in giving grants to young farmers who are just getting going and are wishing to actually fully go into regenerative farming,
Yes.
which there are movies out now. There's one called Common Ground at the
Yeah.
Varsity through Thursday, which shows us that the main remedy basically for reducing climate chaos is through regenerating the topsoil. And then that would also by encouraging, financially, regenerative young farmers, because I think some of the older farmers are starting to think, about withdrawing from their big farm business. And I really encourage all of us really to start reading more and more about topsoil, because it's just such an optimistic and quite immediate, apparently. Like Vandana Shiva, she's written several books now explaining all that and how the big organizations, even like the United Nations, is starting to get interested as a remedy. And we have a beautiful regional area here with I've heard of a couple of young farmers, like a couple that would like to get going with regenerative farming and aren't able to financially, but not just Vandana Shiva, but also Kiss the Ground, fantastic movie, talks about topsoil. And the one that's at the Varsity right now, Common Ground, also, that after 1 year, if farmers don't have enough harvest to feed their family and, meet their basic needs, that their organizations like Farmers Footprint, yeah, I get their newsletter, incredibly encouraging, that there are grants around.
Yes.
There are grants, there are philanthropists who say, okay, you didn't quite meet your family needs. We're giving you enough money so that that can happen and go on with regenerative farming, which goes beyond organic.
That's true.
It's quite amazing, and I think we all would do well to start reading about it, and encourage more and more local, really, really healthy produce to be bought instead of getting the smart chickens. I think it comes from Iowa. We've seen during the 4 COVID years about the supply chain problems
Sure.
that we can get into. And then the other focus that I'd like to bring up to all of you is that there's a whole bunch of synthetic meat for sale. And when I get the chance, I'd like to go to the board and I've already given a copy to a couple of friends. There's an article by Bloomberg about Beyond Meat. And it's really, it's pretty horrific, because a team from Bloomberg found, after going to a big new factory for Beyond Meat in Philadelphia, they found mold on the ceiling. They found mold in this big, huge mixer for all those little tiny fragments. It's not, it's so misleading, because at first glance, you think this is really great, because you turn the package over, whether it's hot dogs or burger meat or whatever, and you read like 3 vegetables. But the fact is, and I was completely ignorant, but I started to kind of read about it, and then the Bloomberg article appeared. And not only that, the Bloomberg team found listeria in the food itself that was in containers ready to sell. And then I looked up, and the CDC says that listeria, I think it's a bacteria, is number 3 in toxic deaths from food. Number 3 on the list, at the very top of the list. So, gosh, I'm really wishing to find out more about it, because it's all over town, it's not just shopping cart and you find it there. Anyway, wanted to bring up that.
Thank you very much. Absolutely.
Well, thank you for listening. I just want those who need to know that I totally agree with what Deborah Wilson said, but I would go beyond what she said. I don't want any oil and anything that I put in my mouth. I don't eat any oil. I don't cook with oil. It's not necessary. It's pure calories. There's just about zero nutrition. If at all, may have a little bit of vitamin D. Now, you may want to throw rotten tomatoes at them, but really there's a lot of backing for what I'm saying. So that's just me. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
I would add something to that.
Yeah.
There are a lot of breakdown products when you heat oils, and the seed oils have in their production to increase their shelf life. They've already been heated to 500 degrees. So they already have breakdown products in them before you even add them to the food. But I don't think they should be added to the food. They're also extremely high in omega-6s. And in our diet today, we're getting almost no omega-3s and a lot of omega-6s. And it's a huge imbalance, and it's one of the things fueling the epidemic of chronic illness in this country. And so we need to move away from the omega-6 seed oils and try to have a more balanced diet between omega-6 oils and omega-3s. It's really important. Food co-ops were founded in the 70s by people who were interested in health and food and community. And this store, I've been a member of this is the 4th food co-op I've been a member of. This co-op seems to be focused on growing and getting bigger and bigger, and they've lost sight of food and health, and that to me is the core mission, and it's real upsetting.
Thank you.
One little thing, last week I shop for carrots. One little bundle of 5 carrots coming from Mexico, costing $3.99. I'm thinking, I'm sure there's some farmers growing those carrots around here, so why don't we favor buying carrots and other produce from local farmers rather than getting them from Mexico? That's one example. Yes.
Yeah, I mean, we have a local growers and producers group that we meet and discuss how we can make this happen. How can we as a co-op support these people that don't have the funding to go into the regenerative agriculture? And how can we support, defining what the local is to where we can bring in products that are affordable from the local vendors and producers as well. So, yeah, thank you very much. Anything else? All right, thank you, everybody.
Thank you all for coming.